Alright, just checking to make sure that I'm still on. Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash, double honors, the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity, and a shout out to Yakim that's out there in the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash, Brakatung. So, taking a good look at what's going on as this is actually in a premier mode, so you can see that inflation, hyperinflation is happening, but pretty much devaluing the dollar is here, and people are just wasting their money foolishly. Hey man, the place I live at, perfectly good TV, and it was a big screen TV just thrown away, along with an entertainment center that was actually in very good shape. These people are just blowing money on new entertainment centers and TVs like it's going out of style because they think that this money's always going to be there. Yeah, but the dollar's becoming more and more worthless, and other things are getting harder to find. And got the uproars of the people going on, as of course, I'm not going to get into that too much, but Derek Chauvin obviously found guilty. Does this mean that there's actual justice? You know, Richard Pryor put it best when he said, yeah, you take a look at them prisons, it's just us niggers in there, man. Esau doesn't give two shits about you, but under the illusion that Biden really cares, and our people acting so stupid, acting like this devil fucking gives a fuck. Then he laughs at you afterwards and says, oh no, I'm not going to make anything different. I suppose that's what they'll want me to do, right? Man, these stupid, dumb motherfuckers that go out and vote every 4 years, man. Same people that say, yo, masks wear lives. You know? Masks save lives. Yeah, and you're fucking rebreathing bacteria, man. Rebreathing bacteria means you're setting yourself up for bronchitis infection and other shit. You know? But, hey, man, if it worked the first time, it'll work again. You know? This C-19 hoax is not going away. It's going to get stronger because now they're just going to keep on lying about new variants. You know, but it never, ever goes away. You know, as pretty much they have nanobits in this stuff to track your every movement. And remember the way that Joe Biden phrased it. Microscopic tags. What are microscopic tags? The very thing that is in the injections itself. See, you gotta pay attention to his wording there. To track their every movement. That's what the discussion's been about. Well, just make it a mandatory vaccine, and then everybody has that microscopic tag implanted in them, which they claim is not in there. You could believe them, but would Satan lie? Has Esau always had a reputation for telling the truth? Or he can't tell the truth because there was no truth in him? Think about it. Anyway, this is what's going on with the devaluing of the dollar as they hand out more and more checks.
Today, most Americans are broke and living paycheck to paycheck. The unemployment rate is still high. Millions of other Americans are just trying to find some way to survive month after month. The continued rise in unemployment and homelessness represents the end product of a failing economic system. And the Dow Jones at 34K. The gap between Main Street and Wall Street has never been more acute. This abysmal economic news should be enough to boost stocks. Many financial assets are soaring, whilst the average consumer is struggling with debt that has been brought into sharp focus by a loss of income. Consumers are retrenching, and small businesses are facing bankruptcy, whilst central banks continue to support asset prices. The outlook for U.S. bankruptcies looks shocking. Even when our economy was booming, no one in power suggested paying off one dime of debt. It got to a point where $1 trillion deficit a year, at least what we know of, was the new norm. Now it will be a 2.5 to 5 trillion a year deficit. Anybody in their 20s will probably see a quadrillion in total deficit at this pace. US debt well over 30 trillion to start 2022. Might be closer to 35 trillion. But as we all know, debt does not matter in modern day economics. Shame on all of us that thought fundamentals meant anything. Today, 45% of Americans have close to zero cash in their savings account. And that's according to a survey by Go Banking Rates. Auto and student loans are also at record levels. Credit card delinquency rates are at a 20-year high. US consumers have been teetering on edge for years, living paycheck to paycheck. And now, with paychecks abruptly postponed and in some cases canceled, many households will be missing rental, mortgage, and credit card payments and also skipping on healthcare, setting in motion the dominoes in which their credit scores will be impaired. And banks who are already hoarding cash will be reluctant to lend. Government handouts will be used to plug the holes in today's cash flows, or they will be hoarded in order to offset a decline in future revenue or wages. And in many cases, it will be used to pay down debt. Consumption patterns aren't likely to return to pre-COVID levels, even if economies rapidly reopen. That would be deflationary. So are we going to see coming deflation, inflation, hyperinflation, or stagflation? Will it be an inflationary or deflationary depression? In my opinion, we are going to have price deflation in many areas but eventually high or hyperinflation on a global scale. We can have deflation in some parts of the economy and still have price inflation in a lot of goods. Deflation, in certain asset groups, is possible, but the only certain outcome is hyperinflation. In answer to, how do I get that out of the facts, the only fact that counts are the unlimited printing of dollars out of thin air. Soon enough, the velocity of money will increase somewhat, and then we will see the result of contrived worldwide stagflation. Deflation for things you don't need, inflation for the things you need every day. Hyperinflation on needs, deflation on wants. Too bad they cannot print consumer confidence. The biggest difference in how people spend. It is not whether there will be deflation or inflation. There will be deflation in some areas and inflation in some areas. Deflation in luxury, lifestyle goods and services. Inflation in the price of necessities. Deflation on your asset, inflation on your food. Deflation followed by hyperinflation. Deflation until everybody thinks they need toilet paper again, then inflation. I think the inflationary nature of QE is being counteracted by the deflationary nature of lockdowns. The elephant in the room is if it's so easy to see this, why do central banks persist despite the clear trend of following Japan in this downward spiral? Are our leaders that terribly short-sighted? You can't blow all the tires on the economy, cause rippling bankruptcy, try to paper it over with $10 trillion, and then expect the economy to magically bounce back. That $10 trillion was borrowed prosperity from the future, which means sometime in the future, we have to experience a time where we are down 10 trillion in relative wealth. The economy has to contract by trillions in value down the road to pay for the band-aid. Expectations for a V-shaped recovery appear increasingly unlikely. There is no deflation, except when it comes to things that are incredibly overvalued to start with. I have been watching prices at the grocery store rise mercilessly since 2008's money creation binge that never seemed to end. Lately, the prices of most items are going up every time I go to the store. All of those trillions being created don't all find their way into the stock derivatives markets. Anyway, some deflation would be nice after 10% per year or more for over a decade. Only deflation in luxuries. Only inflation in necessities. There will be inflation as long as the Fed government is printing money and handing it out to the public, i.e., unemployment and stimulus. As long as they do that, chances are people will spend it. Hell, many people make more now than they did working, just for that fact alone. Do you think the money changers haven't taken this argument into account? If people have money to spend, the demand will be there. The question would be, how long can they just keep printing? Deflationary crash in asset prices, but not precious metals, followed by hyperinflation crisis, particularly on consumables, food and other commodities. To the best of my knowledge, the inflation calls are assuming that a deflationary period will precede it. A deflationary period, say where nobody has a job and therefore no money is moving, causing an overreaction in monetary policy that results in out-of-control inflation. Cause and effect. Deflation is the cause, but it always ends in inflation. Yes, demand for certain things has declined markedly. Going out to a fancy restaurant every night, going to the movies or a rock concert or Disney park, or going on a cruise or traveling to Italy or China. However, the demand for other things has only increased. Toilet paper being the poster child of the whole basket, groceries, home entertainment, sewing machines, and woodworking tools, even books. However, the drop in supply is turning out to be more serious and long-lasting than people expected. Cue China. The massive container ships making daily port calls have all but disappeared. So yes, there will be big pockets of deflation, but there are also going to be big pockets of inflation. If you are caught out in a blizzard, so you build a fire and put your hands in the fire, on average, are you going to be comfortable? Hyperinflations all need crushing deflation to start, and since this is really a global economy, it has to be simultaneous and worldwide universal deflation to kick off the hyperinflation. This deflation could last a couple of years, but the deeper it goes and the longer it goes, the more likely the hyperinflation to come later is. It will be both in my opinion. It isn't binary. Deflation in asset prices, real estate, cars, and other equipment and wages. Inflation in everything else, food, alcohol, and precious metals. Demand inflation for the things we need like food. Deflation for the leveraged assets. Years in the future, the US supernovas, and only then do we get hyperinflation. Flip a coin and take a guess. The Fed adding tons of fiat to chase fewer things with, but then there's the possibility most people will be flat broke. The inflation you really need to worry about is food inflation. Things go horribly wrong when people can't eat.
And that's another thing that pretty much you can see what's going on there is that the prices are going to change drastically. Now, you can also see that, you know, junk food like a bag of chips and all that, yeah, something that used to be 35 cents not too long ago, now you're paying close to $2 for the goddamn thing, Pringles, etc. You know, you're paying almost $2 or $3, you know, for the fucking bag of chips, you know. So, imagine that for a dozen eggs. Now, what I do know is 5 dozen eggs is now around $9, you know, so it's back up again. It was around $6, but things are going to keep going up, especially with this continuous printing of money, you know, and people don't know what time it is. They're spending their stimulus foolishly, and it's about to break real soon.
Food inflation and availability are about to be an Arab Spring kind of thing again. The real food shortages have not happened yet and may not in the near future. A few empty store shelves is not a food shortage. Whole industry groups are not just declining. They are dead. Why would you buy a house, or a car, or even think about any new business venture until this settles? We are in terra incognita. Fasten your seatbelts. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. I predict. The US government gets bigger and more totalitarian. The US real standard of living continues its downtrend started in 1970. The US citizens get even fatter and dumber. It was a perfect crime. 1. Inflation for the rich. 2. Deflation for the poor. You can't get more perfect than that. There will be stagflation. Inflation of some things, deflation of others, stagnant or dropping wages. A long, slow grind into serfdom and poverty for most. Welcome back to the Atlantis Report. You are here for your daily dose of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Which is what we have here at Great Millstones, the 100% truth, you know, and we teach you what the mark of the beast is. That it is an implant. It'll be implanted in you, and hey, it's been coming in the form of them microscopic tags to be implanted in everyone. That's what the real discussion's about. And hey, here's this fucker, you know, fucky. Fucky falsehood 2316. It's not the Republicans. It's millennials that are rejecting the jab. Having refused to provide a science-based answer to Jim Jordan's recent question, or when will we get our liberties back, Dr. Fucky, in between commenting on gun violence as a national health crisis, blamed Republicans, well, for pretty much everything, yeah, you know, so they just always shift the blame back and forth, back and forth. It's the Republican Party, it's those liberals, those Democrats, you know, and nothing ever gets there, you know. He who must be obeyed declared authoritatively the fact that one may not get vaccinated, in this case, a disturbingly large proportion of Republicans, only actually works against where they want to be. So, you know, pretty much so, it's it's just about to become mandatory that you're going to have that vaccine passport. And they do have them microscopic tags in them. Of course, Fucky has been exposed numerous times over the past year of his tyrannical rule, e.g. flip-flopping over mask wearing. No masks need wear mask indoors. Wear 2 masks. And the effectiveness of lockdowns. Please explain the difference in deaths, cases being locked down. Fuck California or fuck Florida. And so, it's likely not a surprise that Fucky blaming Republicans for the lack of herd immunity, which is so stupid, man. And people fall for this shit. Which, by the way, real scientists believe we have almost achieved is not true, as instead of middle-aged white supremacist anti-vaxxers, you know, so they're now tying in Edomites to this, is the younger cohorts of the population who undoubtedly skew dramatically left that are refusing to take the Fucky ouchie, you know, so they want everybody vaccinated, and that's why there's been this, you know, that's why they take down videos and everything else. Well, to go more into this, next news report, which pretty much breaks it down about Fucky.
Oh yes, you'll be furious after seeing what Dr. Fauci is advocating for now. Yeah, it's not political at all, right? Before I get into this report, if you're new to the channel, I invite you to tap the red button down below to subscribe and hit that notification bell when you do. And always remember, you can access Next News Network's ad-free, uncensored bonus content and exclusive interviews at nextnewsnetwork.com. Let's go to the American Lookout. Mike LaChance reports Dr. Fauci is still being booked on tons of news shows, despite the fact that millions of Americans have completely lost their patience for him. Now he's weighing in on gun control for some reason. The high-ranking public health official took a break, terrifying Americans from returning to a normal life, to deem gun violence a political health issue. Watch.
8 people were shot and killed in a mass shooting in Indianapolis on Thursday night. The U.S. has reported 47 mass shootings in just over a month. You've worked in public health broadly for a long time. Is gun violence in the U.S. a public health emergency?
You know, myself as a public health person, I think you can't run away from that. I mean, when you see people getting killed, I mean, in this last month, it's just been horrifying what's happened.
All
How can you
staged.
say that's not a public health issue?
Okay, so now gun control is a public health issue. Yeah. Quote, when you see people getting killed in the last month, it's been horrifying what's happening. How can you say it's not a public health issue? You heard her ask the question. Probably someone should let him know that his 15 minutes of fame are up. Ian Miles Chong said, with Fauci now commenting on gun violence and medicalizing it as a health issue, expect to see a legitimate effort to repeal gun rights and institute regulations to prohibit legal gun ownership for health reasons. Ben Shapiro says, Fauci says gun violence is a public health problem because when you are a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And then there's this Lauren Boebert. Why is Dr. Fauci commenting on gun violence at all? Shouldn't he stick to what he knows once he finds out what exactly that is? Yeah, seriously, Dr. Fauci, it's time for you to just retire. Okay? Thank you.
And that's just it, though, you know, but you'll always see him, because remember, FEMA's actually in charge. There's still a national emergency, right? Even though we know it's ridiculous. Well, you know, due to the lockdowns and all that, well, this is what's going on here in Shasta County. Several people voiced support for Shasta supervisors at the target of recall. Yeah, they're looking to recall their ass. At Tuesday's Board of Supervisors meeting, people came out to show support for 3 Shasta supervisors who are the targets of a recall. So yeah, you know, they're looking to recall them. You know, and there's even more. Here's another one that I wouldn't be surprised if soon they want to recall her, because it's happening with fuck Newsom, you know, which I call recall Newsom now. You know, I think that they'll want to do the same with fuck Whitmer. You know, the Nazi.
It's another one of those stories, rules for thee, but not for me. We're talking about Governor Whitmer. And if you're a resident of Michigan, you should be demanding she resign immediately. She just got caught red-handed, breaking her own rules What she did is absolutely unforgivable, a sin against the people in her state. Before I get into the details, if you're new here, tap the red button down below to subscribe, then hit the notification bell when you do. And always remember, you can access Next News Network's ad-free, uncensored bonus content and exclusive interviews at nextnewsnetwork.com. Let's go to the Gateway Pundit, where Christina Layla reports that Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer vacationed to Florida, doing so during Michigan's COVID-19 surge while telling Michiganders to stay home and avoid travel. Yeah, she secretly vacationed to Florida. Isn't that just absolutely disgraceful? She specifically attacked Floridians even and blamed snowbirds traveling from the Sunshine State into Michigan for her state's COVID surge. I guess we can count her among them, right? Let's watch.
Well, at the end of the day, this is going to come down to whether or not everyone does their part. That's the most important thing. This variant, the B117 variant, is what is growing so quickly here in Michigan. We're the second most of it, then I think right after Florida. At least that was the last data that I saw. Michigan and Florida are not next to each other. But this is the time of the year that snowbirds come home from Florida, where people are going on spring break, and all of these things can contribute to spread. And that's why we're imploring people to take this seriously, mask up, get
COVID,
tested.
it doesn't exist.
Except for her, right? Tiffany Brown, a spokeswoman for Whitmer, gives a few details about her trip, but first this tweet from Michigan GOP, breaking news. Thread, Governor Whitmer vacationed to Florida during Michigan's COVID surge despite telling Michiganders to stay home and avoid travel. The governor's spokesperson confirmed that Whitmer took a personal trip to Florida last month during spring break. But Brown denied the allegation. Brown said Whitmer did not go on spring break, but traveled to assist her elderly father, who is battling a chronic illness, according to a report from the Detroit Free Press. Okay, so cry me a river. That's your excuse, right? But I'm sure you didn't do any shopping or go out to any restaurants or even hit the beach, right? Brown added that Whitmer has left the state 3 times in the last 6 months. Let's watch.
Newly tonight, Michigan Republicans accusing Governor Gretchen Whitmer of being a hypocrite. This after the governor reportedly made a trip to Florida more than a month ago to see her father, who is critically ill. The trip coming as the state health department cautioned against
I hope he's dead,
utilizing cases.
Bitch.
The governor's office says the trip was made when the state's daily positivity rate was in the low
Most
single
people
digits,
need to die.
and that no taxpayer money was used to fund that trip.
Okay, so no taxpayer money was used.
See, Esau can't
lie. The infection rates are down, so
lie.
that's your excuse to justify your travel when you're telling everyone else to voluntarily stay home, don't go, and then you blame snowbirds. The Michigan GOP also put out this tweet and said that Whitmer's top staffers secretly traveled to Florida as well as Alabama for vacation. A number of Whitmer's top staffers have also been caught secretly traveling to Florida and Alabama for vacation, revealing an administration-wide attitude that they were above the people they serve.
And that's just it. You see, Esau's exalted himself above everyone else, and of course I'm talking about the elites here, in this case, but nonetheless, though, you can see, though, that, for one, we know that, wow, Lisa Haven's saying the same thing I just said, that Chauvin is a distraction, and, that's what I'm trying to do, is trying to get to what's really going on here, because we know that this is a distraction anyways, They're always trying to hide something when you see the news covered with other things. Maybe
Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, I'm sure by now you have already heard the news because it's been plastered all over the mainstream media
like
that
COVID.
Derek Chauvin has been guilty on all 3 counts. This is a major victory for the Democrats, for the left, for Black Lives Matter, and you think that they would be celebrating in the streets over this. However, it was never truly about the conviction and that conviction alone. Oh no, there's so much more to the BLM radical and Antifa Marxist agenda that is now playing out in the United States of America. You see, it wasn't about the conviction.
And lesbians.
It's about what happened immediately after the conviction that tells the entire story. And that's what I am going to focus my report today on. But before I do, just a quick break. So here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that the word collagen comes You can put it either in your coffee or you can put it in your shake, whatever you prefer, and then you stir it right up, and it stirs without clumps and all that, so you don't have to worry about that, but it's super easy to take. And doesn't even have a flavor to it, so your coffee still tastes like your coffee. But check it out now by going to healthwithlisa.com. I'll show you their website here. Right now, they've got up to 51% off of those packages, and on top of that, it comes with free shipping, free coaching, VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, and a free start with Portland and see what's going on over in Portland. Here we are, foxnews.com. Portland police officer has been surrounded, punched in the face, and an unlawful assembly declared. Police declared an unlawful assembly there in Portland about 10 o'clock p.m. This is after the conviction. Second here, and this is on KOIN6news.com. 2 arrested during the unlawful assembly in downtown Portland. Vandals have gathered hours after the jury conviction. Derek Chauvin of killing George Floyd. Then we have theepictimes.com. Portland rioters are smashing windows at a Starbucks and attack a police officer. So over in Portland, there's obviously a lot of chaos going on. There is more rioting and protesting as a result of getting exactly what they wanted with George Floyd. Here, let's move on over to another area here. How about Minneapolis? Breitbart.com. Watch BLM chant F the National Guard after Chauvin's verdict in Minneapolis. Then we have Breitbart.com. Watch Minneapolis protesters basically harass the truck driver by standing on his front end there and even on the side of his window, basically taunting him from his window following the conviction of Derek Chauvin. And here it is. BLM demonstrators block the streets there in Minneapolis yet again, harass the driver of a tractor trailer attempting to drive on his route. But that's not all that's going on there in Minneapolis. I want to show you this here. And this is a guy saying, and I'm not going to play the clip because it contains cuss words, but I will leave a link in the box below. Yep, but basically, we don't need no water. The guy there says they're going to let this whole MFer burn to the ground. Burn to the ground. Burn this whole MF. Burn it down. To the ground. This is what's going on after a verdict that they asked for, right? And I want to add this little clip. This is kind of a sidetrack, but I think it's very important. And I'm not going to play every single clip on this, but I want to show you how the media has radicalized Black Lives Matter and Antifa organizations, and then we have congressional leaders like AOC, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and many, many others, specifically Maxine Waters, as we've really delved into, encouraging these people, and they're literally burning our cities to the ground. But take a listen.
And that's just it. You see uproars of the people, but wait, there's more. You know, there's this, and I just had to replace one, so I know how much these things cost. I just spent about $2,000 so I get my second car running. That's what I did with my stimulus, okay? But this is what's been going on. Ongoing catalytic converter thefts raise concern for residents and police in Anderson. Yeah, I actually work out with someone, and her catalytic converter was stolen right off her truck. Multiple incidents of catalytic converters being stolen have Anderson police and residents concerned. On Tuesday, the Anderson Police Department made a post on Facebook asking for the public's help in finding information about the test. But what is a catalytic converter and why are they being stolen? It's because, you know, piece of shit fucking California, man. They make it a law that you cannot pass smog unless you have a working catalytic converter. And they're crap. Okay, they only last a few years and then you have to fucking replace it. They fucking suck. And it's a bunch of bullshit. It's just a way of the state fucking you up the ass to get more money out of you. That's all that it is. That's all that it ever was. They want to see you spend the money because you got to remember, you know, what fucking piece of shit Newsom said that he wanted all field burners gone by 2035. It's the same thing that Biden wants. But this also going on, you know, this is in a diverse place, but Most High is turning things up. You know, as we're about almost a month since the Passover. Over 30 killed in tragic passenger train collision in Egypt. So you can see all that. 2 passenger trains have collided in southern Egypt, reported on Friday, with multiple videos from the incident emerging online. The health ministry stated later in the day at least 32 people died and that 165 were injured in the catastrophe. So, you know, the Most High is turning things up, you know. And we see a lot going on, especially with Magog and Ukraine. I don't have anything on that right now, but, well, I might have one article. Hold on a second. But there's even more. Get the fuck out of New York. BLM protested to demand white restaurant owners to leave the city. So, you know, pretty much, though, you know, things are being turned up. You know, uproars of the people everywhere. Unruly protests broke out in numerous major cities last night despite Chauvin being convicted on all counts. So, you know, again, you know, to give you that idea that there's a two-party system, Democrats and Republicans, they got to turn things up, you know, just like Lisa Haven was going into, you know, to give you that paradigm. And then you got this, you know, Russian analyst affirms presidential election process as a new victory for Syrian people in the war against terror. And you notice, though, that they're the ones that actually are fighting the terrorists that the United States, you know, willingly arms, you know. So who really fights a war on terrorism? No, America fights the war of terror, meaning that they cause terrorism and they support terrorism. Russian Ministry of Political Analyst, a correspondent member of Academy of Artillery and Missile Sciences, Konstantin Sigov, affirmed that presidential election entitlement in Syria represents a new victory for the Syrian people in the war on terror. Setting time for elections indicates that Syria is strong despite all conditions and challenges, Sigov said in an interview with Syrian Arab News Agency correspondent in Moscow. He added that the Syrian people have gotten through all experiments, that they will practice their constitutional right with freedom, transparency, without any external pressures. So, you know, because we know what terrorism is, and we know that the United States is the largest supporter of terrorism. They were never fighting a war on terror, but rather they were fighting their war of terror. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, because this is where we're at here in prophecy. Speak in the ears of my people the words of the prophecy that I will put in your mouth, saith the Most High. You know, so, you know, we speak prophecy. That's all we do when we go out on the streets and we teach. Do not fear the plots against you, and do not be troubled by the unbelief of those who oppose you. Yeah, we got a lot of non-believers there, man. You know, they're constantly, you know, mocking at us, and, you know, look at how many times we've been mocked and they just said, oh, a chip, and then they crunch in a potato chip. You know, but you can see, though, that indeed the microchip is the mark of the beast, because these tags are being put in these, you know, Maxine waters. Therefore saith the Most High, I will no longer be silent concerning their ungodly acts that they impiously commit. Neither will I tolerate their wicked practices. Innocence and righteous blood cries out to me, and we cry out when we go out in the streets and teach. And the souls of the righteous cry out continually, because we continue to endure. We go out there faithfully all the time. I will surely avenge them, saith the Most High, and will receive to myself all the innocent blood from among them. See my people that are being led like a flock to the slaughter. You see all those people getting the jabs because, again, they listen to false prophets. You know, I will not allow them to live any longer in the land of Egypt, which currently is America, but I will bring them out with a mighty hand and with an uplifted arm, and will strike Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all its land. So you see the plagues coming, you see hyperinflation, you see food shortages, warehouses being empty. Let Egypt mourn in its foundation because of the plague of chastisement and castigation that the Most High will bring upon it. Let the farmers that till the ground mourn, because their seed had failed to grow, and you see that all the time. And their trees shall be ruined by blight and hail and by a terrible tempest. Look at all the places that got burned down, and they're advocating that there's going to be more fires this year. You know, so a lot of agriculture is going to be burned down. You know, where, you know, which we know California in particularly feeds the rest of the nation. You know, all the crops there. Look at how much got burned down last year. Alas, for the world and for those who live in it, for the sword and misery draw near them, and nation shall rise up to fight against nation with swords in their hands. And you see that. For there shall be unrest among people, and you see in that, growing strong against one another. They shall in their might have no respect for their king or chiefs or their leaders. You know, and who the fuck respects the fucking tribal chief of fucking Whitmer or fucking Newsom or any of these other jackoffs, man? Because it's do as I say, not as I do. For a person will desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. Yeah, because again, you know, you have to have a vaccine passport. You know, you have to prove that you've been vaccinated. And not just that, though. You know, you got to follow the other guidelines, you know, so you can't really do anything anymore, you know. Pretty much, so you can't buy or sell, say he that has it. Because you can't even go into the stores without a mask, and eventually it's going to be replaced by that passport. And it's a digital passport at that. Because of the pride of their cities shall be in confusion. The houses shall be destroyed, and people shall be afraid. You know, you got people stealing catalytic converters and all kinds of things, you know. And you know how hard it is to get a catalytic converter. Like I said, I just spent $2,000 on one. You know, and these devils are going around stealing them because they know they can make a lot of money on the black market. But shall make an assault upon them, their houses with a sword, and plunder their goods, because of hunger for bread and because of great tribulation. And we're going to see things continue to be turned up. So hopefully all this has been edifying. I got one more video from another brother who's put it all together in a lesson, which, you know, I just decided to go ahead and build upon that. But this is a lesson that he already put up. You know, violence is consuming Babylon and people are losing it. So it's pretty much GMS upon precepts, you know, and what a great precept. And I just wanted to add to that, you know, because that's what we do is we we edify each other and we back each other, you know, because prophecy is speaking. We're hastening to come in the day, Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai. So I hope all this has been edifying. For that I want to say Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Kadash, Wa Abba Babal. And Barak Atum to your hopeful elect. Shalom.
All right, Shalom. Giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Double salutation to all you Akim out there laboring. The house of David that's pushing his word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Hey, Shalom to you, brothers. All right. Hey, this place is going out violently, man. Okay. And violence is consuming Babylon, and these people are losing their damn minds. All right, so let's play this clip, and I'll grab a few scriptures and, you know, wrap it up.
Now let's bring in Republican Congressman James Comer of Kentucky. He is a member of the Congressional Second Amendment Caucus. Congressman Comer, thank you for coming.
At least 45 U.S. mass shootings in the past month.
Now let's bring in Republican Congressman James Comer of Kentucky. He is a member of the Congressional Second Amendment Caucus. Congressman Comer, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Pam.
I'm assuming you heard there that the families and the friends of the victims in this latest shooting at the FedEx facility, as I pointed out, there have been 45 mass shootings in the last month, and that is defined by 4 more people getting wounded or killed after gun violence. Given what we have seen, are these mass shootings acceptable to you?
No, they're not acceptable.
And they're
heartbreaking
fake,
stories.
If it's on CNN, you can best believe it's bullshit.
As a member of Congress, you can't legislate against evil. I think what we need to focus on are mental health. We need to focus on drug abuse. We need to focus on reducing poverty and the breakdown of family.
Okay, I want to talk about this, and it's really important, I think, that we have an open, honest discussion here, right? Because lawmakers
Honestly,
like
you're
yourself
full
are in a
of
position of
shit.
power to actually do something. And when you look at the data and you have said people kill people, guns don't kill. When you look at the data, America has the most guns in the world. It also has 25 times more gun violence and deaths compared to other wealthy nations. So with those facts and your argument in mind, I mean, does America just have more violent and evil people than other countries than,
No,
say,
I'm not trying to be
Canada and
like
Switzerland
Mystery
that have
Science
high gun
Theater,
ownership but don't
come
see this
on,
kind
man,
of
when
gun
you know
violence?
it's horse shit.
What did she say? Let's play that back.
Nations. So with those facts and your argument in mind, I mean, does America just have more violent and evil people than other countries than, say, Canada and Switzerland that have high gun ownership but don't see this kind of gun violence?
Babylon the Great.
I don't think that's accurate, but I do think that in America we have higher instances of drug abuse. I think we have more of a breakdown of our traditional American families. I think we have more instances of a divide between the rich and the poor. These are issues that Congress can address and properly legislate.
But why does it have to be so absolute where it's the person, it's all about mental health, guns should be excluded from any discussion? Even the Supreme Court, I believe it was Justice Scalia, the late conservative Justice Scalia has said the Second Amendment has limits. Why does it have to be so absolute? Why can't, in the wake of these mass shootings, lawmakers get together and say, look, let's look at mental health and let's look at guns and let's figure out what we can do to make sure these mass shootings don't continue to happen in America?
I think if there was a way that you could pass a bill to eliminate mass
I already
shootings,
seen
I think
the
that would
Illuminati
pass
card
Congress
game. It's just the
430
gun
times to
control
veto.
card.
The problem is with these policies, they sound good. It's always in the at the heat of the discussion, right after numbers of mass shootings like we've seen over the last few weeks. But
hey, when you know someone's full of shit, you can't help but fucking laugh.
The law. It's against the law to go in and start shooting people. So I don't think that gun control laws are the answer. I think that when you pass gun control laws, again, you're affecting the people that actually abide by the law, and that gives the criminal the advantage.
But, I mean, let's talk about these background check bills that were passed in the House. They were passed in a bipartisan fashion. Why are those bills bad? You did not vote for them. How would they affect law-abiding citizens who already have their guns, who would like to have a gun?
Well, a lot of these bills that the Democrats have proposed, not just gun bills or immigration bills, whatever, they always have poison pills in there. And anytime there are background check bills, if you really dive into the bill, there are also limits to law-abiding citizens' rights to own guns. Now, Republicans support the banning guns from criminals, banning guns from people that have mental health issues. We don't support red flag laws because that eliminates due process for people. Just because someone says, oh, Pam Brown threatened me, that shouldn't give the government the right to take away your gun ownership right. So this is a complex issue, and when you have mass shootings like we've seen, and I've had a school shooting in my district, it's always a discussion. But I think that we have to look at the root of the problem, and again, I think that's the poverty, mental health, breakdown of the family. These are the things that Congress needs to focus on, and also from a congressional standpoint, we need to be less divisive in Washington.
I agree, and that's why I keep asking you, how can Republicans and Democrats come together and say, hey, look, we agree that these mass shootings are unacceptable. Let's figure this out. Let's get together and figure out the mental health and the gun aspect. And I want to ask you very quickly, you brought up the gun owners' rights, and they do have
For the
rights
record, I would
under
never
the
watch
US
this much
Constitution.
CNN, but this is because a
At
brother
what point are you
is breaking
valuing
it
the
down.
philosophical concept of liberty for gun owners over
CNN
actual
is fucking
lives,
garbage.
prioritizing the right to buy a deadly weapon over life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that we were all guaranteed? What about the right to not be shot?
Well, we've got laws on the books to make it illegal to shoot someone. I think it was very clear that the framers of our Constitution made gun ownership a priority. It was the Second Amendment. And if you look at the states that have banned guns and the cities that have banned guns, Chicago, Washington, D.C., they have some of the highest rates of gun violence. So just passing laws banning guns doesn't solve the problem, but we have a problem in America. And I think Republicans realize that we want to address the issue.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's sometimes different points are made, and I just want to make sure that we look at the numbers and facts when you say something. But I did look at the numbers for crimes in cities and states with strict gun laws, and I saw what you had said repeatedly, but nearly 2/3 of crime guns recovered in states with strong gun laws were originally sold in states with weak gun laws. So if gun laws don't matter, why are criminals going to states with weaker gun laws, bringing that gun back to a state with a stronger gun laws and committing crimes?
Well, I can't answer that, but I can tell you that in the states that have that where you see like Kentucky, where you have a strong belief in the Second Amendment, overwhelming support for the Second Amendment, it seems like you have less instances of gun violence. I think if a criminal really sits and thinks about it, and they want to go in and create havoc, they know that in areas where there's more gun ownership, they're less likely to achieve their goals. And that's a terrible example to use, but I think that's really what the data would show. And I'm really open.
I'm looking at the data right here.
All right, Shalom.
Crap.
Shalom, Shalom. Giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem El Shai, Ba'ashem HaKakodash. All right, a double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Double salutation to all you Akim out there laboring. The house of David that's pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Hey, Shalom to you, brothers. All right. Yeah, so we're definitely living into end time prophecy. All right. And Esau is making it obvious that they're getting ready to come after the people's guns, all right, due to these mass shootings that are happening every week, all right. Let me get this scripture here. Okay, this is Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 10, and it reads, it says, the city of confusion is broken down, all right. Yahweh Shem El Shai is gradually breaking America down little by little. Okay? The city of confusion is broken down, every house is shut up, that no man may come in. All right, it says, verse 11, there is a crying for wine in the streets, okay? Because people want to know what the hell is going on. Okay, majority of these people out here have no clue of what's happening to America, man. All right, it says, there's a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. Okay, so now, not only are these mass shootings a problem, okay, but all of America is getting ready to go under another lockdown, okay, due to this Crown 99. All right, because these other countries overseas, they're already making the adjustments to go on the lockdown. All right, I know brothers probably saw the video that's floating around what's going on in Canada, and pretty much it's about to be full-blown martial law. Okay, so reading it again, it says that there's a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is dark and the mirth of the land is gone. And like he was saying in the video, all right, you have a breakdown of people's mental health. All right, there's a breakdown of the family structure. What do you say? Drug usage. All right, also these people don't have no jobs. All right, people are in massive amounts of debt. So people are losing their damn minds, man. Okay, so you're going to see a lot more of violence increasing in these last days before this thing is fully, shut all the way down, man. All right, verse 12, Isaiah 24 and 12. And the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction. Okay, so this is how this place is going to go out. So really, this is not no surprise. Okay, America is a land of violence. This is a violent nation. Okay, so as this place was established off of violence, this place is going to go out with violence, man. Thus saith the scriptures. All right, because the Lord is the one that's stirring up the spirits upon these people. All right, he's stirring up those spirits of death. Okay, these death angels are going out, man, and doing their job, doing their thing, man. All right, let me get this. Okay, this is Amos chapter 3 verse 6, and it reads, it says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people be not afraid? shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai have not done it. You see? So ultimately, it's Yahweh Shem Shai that's behind all these mass shootings. All right? He's stirring up the pot. Okay? Because it's time for this place, America, to go out. Okay? So every day or every other week, it seems like there's another mass shooting. All right? And whether this thing is, and whether these shootings are set up or not, okay, it's all the will of the Heavenly Father. All right? Because at the end of the day, okay, Esau has an agenda that needs to be pushed. All right? They need to get forth this, bring forth this martial law. They needed to disarm the so-called American people. Okay? And they need to bring in this so-called New World Order. So this is why this stuff is being amplified day by day. Okay? Because prophecy is coming to pass. Let me get this. Right? This is Isaiah 45 and 6. Make this point too. All right? Matter of fact, before I get the scripture, I wanted to address this too. All right? This came out today. It says, CT or Connecticut House passes bill ending religious jab exemption. All right? So this thing is going to be nationwide soon. Okay? You're not going to be able to get out of this so-called vaccine, man. All right, let me just read a little bit, because I thought this was interesting, man. Because they're going to do everything they can to force this this agenda down people's throats, man. All right, just briefly reading. It says the Connecticut House of Representatives passed a contentious bill early Tuesday that would end the state's long-standing religious exemption from immunization requirements for schools beginning with 2022 school year. Okay? It says the 90 to 53 vote in the Democratic controlled chamber came just before 3 a.m. After more than 16 hours of debate. The bill now heads to the Senate, which is also controlled by the Democrats. All right? It says, reading on here, it says about a half an hour before approving the legislation, lawmakers passed an amendment that would allow students who are now exempt from immunizations because of religious reasons to continue to be exempt. Okay, but we already know that this is going to change, man. All right, it says the House approval largely among party lines with heavy opposition for Republicans. Okay, and that's pretty much the point. So, you know, like I said, we're in some heavy times. A lot of these things are going to change. All right, and we're in the time of Jacob's trouble. But going back to that scripture real quick. All right, this is Isaiah 45 in verse 7, and it reads, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, do all these things. So Yahweh Shem Shai is the one that's behind all this evil and wickedness that's going on throughout the earth, man. Okay, we're in the time of heavy judgment, man. You know, it seems like every other day that another rapper is getting put to death. You know, the Lord's judgments are raining throughout the earth, man. Okay, let me get this. You know, so you're going to see more people, you know, lose their mind in these last days. All right, this is Proverbs 16 and 4, real quick. Proverbs chapter 16 verse 4 says, the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai have made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil, man. Okay, so as I keep reiterating, man, hey, this is just, hey, these mass shootings are just getting started, man. Okay, Esau has more shit that's possibly set up, okay, that's going to spark off this civil war. Because, hey, what's going to happen when they come after these people guns, all right, it's going to spark off that civil war, all right, because these hell-bent constitutional Edomites that are all about their rights in the Constitution, all right, they're not going to let that go off easy, okay, they're going to put up a fight. So as the scriptures say, I'll get that real quick. Isaiah 19. Okay, this is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 2, and it reads, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, okay? So you're getting ready to see these Edomites lose their minds, man, and go against their own system. Okay? I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight, everyone against his brother, everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. All right, so this is what's getting ready to happen. All right, let me get this real quick. This is pull this up in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. Once again, scriptures that we know, but they're being made more plain now. Okay, 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. Get straight to the point. All right, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14, and it reads, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." Okay, woe meaning destruction. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Okay, so hey, it's gonna be civil war. Okay, Edomites versus Edomites, man. Okay, verse 16 it says, "For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes," meaning they're not going to be bound by the law. You know, they're not going to regard the police. You know, this is anarchy. "They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." All right, so people are going to be doing their own thing, man. It's going to be lawlessness, man. Okay. Verse 17 it says, "And a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to." And that's what's happening now. Okay, they're already restricting. It was in the news. They were saying that they're already restricting foreign travel. Okay, meaning that you're not going to be able to travel so-called overseas unless you have the papers, and you know what I'm talking about. Verse 18 it says, "For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." So hey, we're in the time of Jacob's trouble, man. Okay, surely but surely. Okay, verse 19, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation." So this is what's come upon the earth. We're in the time of the Lord's judgment. All right, so going back to my point, let me get that in Sirach. Back in Sirach 39, you know, the fact that these people are losing their minds. These people in America are losing it. Okay? Let's get that in Sirach 39 real quick. Just want to make a couple points to wrap it up. You know. Okay, this is Sirach 39 and verse 28. Let's get that. All right, bear with me 1 second, Salakia. Sirach 39, verse 28. And it reads, Ecclesiasticus 39, verse 28, it says, "There be spirits that are created for vengeance." Okay, Yahweh Shemel Shai has these death angels out here, man. All right, these spirits of death that are upon these people. It said there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. All right, so this is the will of Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right, he has those spirits out there created for vengeance. Okay, you heard the story that happened with Jake. You know, that was in the NFL. You know, out here, this was right next door out here in South Carolina. All right, I think he shot up about what, 5 or 6 people. You know, then he shot himself. Okay, these are spirits that were created for vengeance. Hey, this is the Lord that's doing this, man. Okay, verse 29 it says, "Fire and hell, famine and death, all these were created for vengeance." All right, this is the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai's vengeance upon the wicked. Verse 30 says, "Teeth of wild beasts, and scorpions and serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction." Okay, so the Lord has a controversy with this place, man. All right, like it tells you in Psalms the 7th chapter, Yahweh Shemel Shai is angry with the wicked every day, man. Okay, so now it's time for Yahweh Shemel Shai to work, and this is what you're seeing. Let me get this. This is Psalm 78, verse 49. Psalms 78, verse 49, and it reads, it says, he cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation, and trouble, by sending evil angels among them. Okay? So the Lord is sending out them spirits, man, upon these wicked ass people. And that's why people are bugging out. Okay? This is why people are losing their damn minds. Okay? Verse 50, he made a way to his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence, man. All right? So these are the judgments, man. You know? Let's see what else is in this clip, man. That's pretty much the point. I'm gonna finish playing out this clip, see what else is said.
I'm looking at the data right here showing nearly 2/3 of crime guns recovered in states with strong gun laws were originally sold in states with weak gun laws. But let me just ask you before we let you go, Congressman Comer, and again, I appreciate your time on this issue, and it is complex.
Absolutely.
You talked about how your concern is these laws infringing on gun owners' rights. That is a big concern for Republicans like yourself. But if you look at polls and you look at the polls...
Yeah, because they're coming after the guns. All right? They need to disarm the people so they can't defend themselves, man. Okay? There's already legislation being passed where they could just run up in your house without a warrant. All right? This is the agenda.
As they relate to the House bill on background checks. The latest poll found 89% among all Americans, 84% support among Republicans, 85% among gun owners, and 84% among rural residents. So, with all of this support, how can you say that this would be a bad thing? Isn't it Congress's job to represent the will of the people?
I don't know about those polls. I see a lot of polls that show lots of different things. I know in Kentucky,
there are
I think the numbers would be right off of that. I'm not. I don't dispute your polls, but at the end of the day, I don't think you can legislate against evil. You know, we have laws on the books in states that says you can't smoke marijuana. But we have people going to other states to buy marijuana. We have instances of the Mexican drug cartel.
Then why are we seeing so much here in the U.S. with gun violence? Is it just American people were more evil and violent here than in other states with high gun ownership like Canada or Switzerland? I mean, just help me understand that.
I can't explain it, but I know that in countries throughout history that have banned guns, like Germany and many countries in the Asian region, you have situations where the government infringes on the rights of the people. It's the first step in communism. It's the first step in excessive totalitarianism and socialism. So I think it's important that we abide by the Constitution. And certainly, you know, background checks are important. And when it comes up that you have someone that has committed a crime, someone that's on the watch list. I'm Republican co-sponsor of the Child Abuse Prevention Treatment Act. One of the things that bill does is it helps federal agencies coordinate better whenever there's a person of interest that they suspect may be someone that is moving into a community that has a checkered past, that may be someone that could commit a crime against a child. This is the same type of communication that we have to have between law enforcement, but we need to support our law enforcement, and that's one of the big differences between Democrats and Republicans in Washington right now.
And hopefully, I was going to say, I hope we see that communication between Republicans like yourself and Democrats. I interviewed one earlier in the show. I hope you guys are coming together. I hope you were talking. American people want you to. Congressman James Comer, I know you know that. Thank you again for coming on the show to talk about this really important topic.
Let's get this real quick. Proverbs 28:5. All right. Time of judgment. Proverbs 28:5. And it reads, evil men understand not judgment. Okay, these people don't understand that we're in the time of the Lord's judgment, man. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, understand all things. All right, so we understand the times that we are living in. Okay, the scriptures say, redeem the time because the days are evil. All right, Daniel's 12th chapter. A time like no other is coming upon the planet Earth. Time of the end. Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there should be a time of trouble. Okay, this is dealing with Jacob's trouble. There should be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. Okay, so this time of trouble that's coming upon the earth and upon Babylon, okay, it has never been seen upon the world, man. Okay, and there should be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, which is the elect, everyone that should be found written in the book. Okay, so this is what's coming, man. You know, so just prepare yourself, man. All right, Esau has a lot more shenanigans that he's gonna come with, but like I said earlier, you know, we can see right through this thing that, hey, they're trying to come after the guns. All right, so there's going to be a lot more mass shootings. There's going to be a lot more crazy shit that's going to happen, that's going to enforce these lockdowns and these mandates, man. All right, so just keep your head on the swivel, you know. But the point is that this place is going to go out with great violence, just like how it was established. Okay, but I pray this quick lesson was edifying. Just wanted to bring this out, some quick news. All right, violence is consuming Babylon. All right, it's going to get worse as we get closer to the end. But hey, call halayim wa Yahweh Shema Washai. A double honors to my elders and apostles, a great millstone who taught me this truth. A double salutation to all you Akim out there laboring. Hey, shalom.